Fortune favors the bold. Week 2, episode 2. It is March 11th. Welcome back, everybody, to All on Green. We're about rounding second base here of spring training. We're almost there. We're inching closer and closer to opening day in Toronto. My friend, Big Stud, how are you doing, my friend? How we living? How was Vegas?
Good to both. Kind of tired of these spring training games, ready for the season, but I'm always happy chipper off of a Vegas visit if it goes well gambling wise. So this one not too bad.
Yeah, so remember we talked about a little bit last week, the biggest degenerate I know. So I have a couple of screenshots for you guys, okay? I have a Snapchat here of Let's Go, and if you can read that is $1,147 for you off of a
$2 spin.
a $2 spin, and then your cash out voucher of $3,000.
So that's why it was a good Vegas trip, regardless of the A's. So it was a free trip.
Yeah, I mean, hey, as long as you can make a little bit of money in the place that you can lose a lot of money, I mean, you'll be okay.
More times than not. Like for those wondering about gambling, losing game long term for sure.
50-50, right? If you're a 51%er, you're an absolute winner. Appreciate all you guys coming back to listening to episode 2 of this. We really appreciate all the positive comments and a lot of the views from our first episode. Really cool. I hope I'm sounding much better this week with my microphone actually an option here to use. I know it was in front of my face last week. I just wasn't using it. So I'm glad we sound a lot better, and appreciate you guys for coming back. But man, we had a lot of roster cuts here for the A's this last couple of days. We're winding it down here. A lot of names came off the board for the A's, but just a few to note that I would say, and you can jump in whenever you want, Stud. Brett Harris and Junior Perez both didn't really hit all that much in this spring. Brett Harris is a guy who, we've seen him in the show quite a bit, but what's his main problem? And he didn't do it this spring. The bat.
Yeah, he's one that I want to talk about more than Perez. He kind of reminds me of the Adam Rosales type, right? Like high hustle, high energy kind of guy. I think you can plug and play multiple positions. So I don't think we've seen the last of him. It was a long shot that he was going to make the team coming out of spring. It's Muncy and Hernandez for that third base battle. But Harris, he actually played pretty well last year. He was almost at a 1 winner above replacement in his limited time last year. So I think we haven't seen the last of him, but I think it's a good depth piece to have for sure.
Yeah, and he was playing a little bit of first base as well this spring. So I think they definitely want to put him on a corner somewhere. Third base is going to be interesting throughout the entire season. If it's not shored up in the first couple of months, it's still going to be an open job. It's not necessarily over right here on March 11th. It's still going to be an ongoing thing. So definitely not over for Brett, but he absolutely has to hit now. Once he goes down to minor league camp, he's going to have to hit when he gets to Vegas to start the minor league season as well. So we'll see about him. A couple of guys that we mentioned last week, a couple of arms. Jamie Arnold, our first-round draft pick from last season, was cut. He showed a lot of great things. He did give up a homer in his last outing, but he's going to have a very bright future for us, just to say the least, not to build off too much what we said last week. And then also Cade Morris. I mentioned him last week from the Paul Blackburn deal. He pitched 3 innings in an outing, and I think he gave up 1 homer, which is definitely his bugaboo. That's definitely his issue. But
lowered his
3 solid innings. Yeah, for 3 solid innings for him in spring, it's a good sign, maybe a good step in the right direction for him. Just let's keep the ball in the park a little bit more, Bubba. And then there's also infielder Joshua Kuroda-Grauer, who was a third-round pick in 2024 out of Rutgers. He had a really nice spring, and I think the only knock on him really has just been he doesn't slug the ball really at all. Only 2 minor league home runs, a .367 slug in minor league baseball. He's going to be getting at-bats in Midland. He's going to be getting at-bats in hopefully Las Vegas. If you can't lift the ball in those places of the world, or I don't know what to tell you. I mean, but what did you see out of him when you saw him in person out in Vegas?
Yeah, decent. I think he's pretty good in the field. I obviously knew who he was beforehand, but when he was out there at short making play after play, I was like, oh, this guy's something. So I started looking up the stats. Same kind of thing. Saw the low slugging, not a lot of homers, and you hit it right on the head. I think we can go yard in Vegas still. So
I don't know about me, but
yeah, maybe not. But yeah, I think we could probably, given that many at bats, get close. But yeah,
you were probably there for the only home run of my life. So
that was us and Sogard back in. We'll have to show some pics sometime. We got one of Sogard's only home run balls talked about in the broadcast. Met Sogard after the game, so we've got an affinity towards A's players that don't hit homers. So
yeah,
we'll probably be a fan. But yeah, I think it's another good depth piece to have. I think he's 10th, around 10th in the organization. So I think scouts are pretty high on him. So we'll see how he does in Midland and Vegas. But yeah, not a surprising cut.
Yeah, and again, another just piece of this infield that it is just filled with guys who can play, and he's a very good athlete, as we saw already. So we saw him hit the ball to the opposite field a little bit. He got a couple of doubles, which is nice. It's just about total bases, man. We need you to get to second and third on your first swing. Okay, we need you to drive the ball a little bit more, and then we'll go from there. Also, Clark Elliott, who did a lot of solid things in camp, had a homer. He's another interesting name to look forward to down the line, but he's out of this, again, crowded outfield. He's a little bit further down in that depth piece, so we'll see about him. Another name that I wanted to mention who was cut this last recent round was Mason Barnett. Okay, so according to @PitchProfiler, who is a great account to follow on X, he has a 2026 worst pitcher stuff so far, and through spring, he is rated a 92. I don't know exactly what goes into this rating. I haven't really looked a whole lot into it, but I believe the lower the number it is, that's where you don't want to be there. Okay, you want the number to be as high as possible. Yeah, and he's playing golf too much in this stat. He's number 1, 92, worst stuff out of everybody in spring training. He's down there with Alek Manoah, who the A's did kind of beat up a little bit. Yeah. And Grant Holmes is on this list as well. Shout out to the former A's. Okay. So this is not a list you want to be on. And recently he was cut. So this basically means that your stuff is just too straight. It doesn't move enough. You don't have a very good off speed, very good breaking ball stuff. So I don't really know how a professional works on movement per se, dude. I know the baseballs are harder to cut and to get some two-seam movement on these days because of just they're always checking guys for what's on your fingers, what's on your hat. But Mason's gonna have to figure something out, man. We can't have straight heaters in the major leagues, especially when you're potentially pitching in Sacramento in the summertime when the ball is just flying out of the yard. But out of that big group of guys, anybody else who really stuck out to you, my friend?
Not really from cuts. Just I think one piece on Barnett there. I mean, he's not an upper 90s kind of guy anyways. So honestly, I think the best bet is trying to bulk up and just be a reliever and try to get up to upper 90s. And, you don't need crazy good secondary stuff to be an efficient reliever in baseball. So like we said last time, I think the A's have too many of those guys, the JTs and the Medinas and Barnett, guys that are maybe fringe type of like fringe 5 type of starter, but they just don't have good enough stuff. So again, not a shock. They got him on the low anyways, so wasn't expecting much out of him. Not a huge disappointment there.
No, not at all. But hey, out of the guys who were cut, there is a few notable names here that were not on that list who are still in Major League camp. And really to no surprise, honestly, in my eyes, Leo De Vries is still playing Major League camp ball. Henry Bolte, I know that's been a hot commodity on this media network. And also Tommy Tanks, Mr. Tommy White. Let's talk about Henry Bolte and Tommy Tanks for a little bit here, okay? These guys in Vegas, day 2 especially, Tommy White homers twice. He shows some excellent professional hitterism as hitting the ball to right field out of the yard, which is rare for a young guy, especially even if he went through college. He was a dead pull guy out at LSU, but it looks like he's already growing his game, which is so huge for a guy like him who needs to separate himself from these other third base prospects that we have and third base guys who are currently slated to make the major league team. And you also mentioned him last week as a guy that really stuck out to you. What else can A's fans learn about Tommy Tanks through the rest of this spring until he does eventually get the call to go back down to the minor league camp?
Yeah, I think it's showing that he's not just a power hitter. That's how he was coming out of LSU, and that's what he's kind of shown now is he's a pure power kind of bat. And MLB.com, when they their pipeline rankings, it's pretty much 40 to 80, and his power is I think 55 or 50, and his hit I think is like 40, 45. So he's definitely a power first bat. So I would like to see if he can hit some doubles in the gap and draw some more walks. But I saw an Oppo homer too when I was there at spring training, and then obviously one in Vegas. So I've been big on him. I think it's kind of hard not to having a name like Tommy Tanks overall. So we'll see, but I think it's good experience for him and for Leo and Bolte to continue to be in big league camp, even though, we could talk about who we think is most likely to make the team. I think all of them probably won't out of spring training, but I think nonetheless, it's all that they're all still up here.
Yeah, 100%. And you mentioned it too, just how much he's grown already from being an LSU kind of guy. Playing in the College World Series is one thing, and then just transforming his game a little bit to just use the entire field is that'll take him so far in his professional career. It really will. And it's a very underrated piece of a guy. And also, he's starting to play a little at first and third. Who just got cut? Who was doing that? Brett Harris. So that means they may seem to see that Tommy White is a little bit more valuable right now than Brett Harris, and they want to see more of him right now, because I think the idea behind Kotsay and all these cuts, right, is we know what we have in Brett Harris. We've seen him in the big leagues a handful of times, but I want to get more of a piece of Tommy White. I want to see what this guy is really capable of in an extended amount of time. So these last couple of weeks here of spring training are huge for these young guys, especially Henry Bolte too. He has been electric. It's been so fun to watch this guy hit, run, play the field. He really has been doing it all. And dude, Kotsay speaks so highly of this kid, and you could see why. And this is the quote that Kotsay did say: there's a lot of us in that coach's room that think this kid has the ability to be a real star. He continues to make progress each year, both on the physicality side and the baseball side of just being a better hitter. And you absolutely have seen that this March. We talked about Denzel Clark a little bit last week. What does he have to do to stay on the roster? It may not matter in the end, dude. Henry Bolte is just forcing his way onto this big league roster right now. Is he going to make it? I don't think so. I think he's going to have to season it up a little bit. You can't just rely on a hot streak in spring. We mentioned his name earlier, Eric Sogard. Remember when he hit like 440 in like 2013 or whatever it was?
Yeah, 4 for 5 game against the Giants with 2 homers. I was there. Yeah,
you can't. You got to take spring training games with a grain of salt. You know, all these pitchers aren't really giving you their best stuff. Sometimes they're working on grips or working on other things. So you got to take it with a grain of salt. But with the opportunity he's been given, he's looked really good. I mean, you can't deny it.
Yeah, but so I've seen a lot of A's fans on Twitter excited about Bolte. I talked about him last week. I'm extremely excited about Bolte as well, but I think we need to pump the brakes on having him start, come out of spring training. There's a few reasons why for that. I think one, you just talked about Sogard, but specifically Franklin Barreto. He was one of my favorite A's prospects of all time. He'd absolutely rake every single spring training. And then, he'd come up to the bigs, they give him spot starts. Someone would get hurt and he'd play for 4 or 5 games, then he'd be off, and then he'd pinch hit. They, I think, kind of ruined him. They ruined his confidence.
Yes.
Bolte's played about 30 games in AAA. He's still, I think, 22. I don't know. I don't think I want to see him start the year. I think I still want to see what we have with Denzel Clark. I think Bolte has at least proven for now that he's someone to keep our eye on. But, I think they're pretty set with Soderstrom, Clark, and Butler. But, Butler starts off rocky. He didn't have a great year last year. He's still hurt now. That could be an open spot. Clark could be an open spot. So Soderstrom's the only one that's pretty much locked in there. But even then, he's versatile and can play different places. So it'll be interesting to see. But I say we just give him a couple more at-bats in AAA. Also, we saw this with Nick Kurtz, where they called him up before the Super 2 deadline, and we can explain arbitration in a different podcast. But they called him up a little early. He got hurt right away. But didn't matter. He ended up winning the Rookie of the Year. And because he won the Rookie of the Year, he was able to get a full year of service, even though he wasn't, in the bigs to start the year. So now the A's only have 5 years of control with Nick Kurtz. And, that same thing could happen with Bolte, with Leo De Vries. And, I still think for now we're still a small market team. I think we'll get a lot bigger, but don't rush these guys. The confidence piece, the Super 2 piece, and I think that they're pretty set for now. But I'm excited. I think this guy's going to be a future star.
Couldn't agree more. And to bring up that Super 2 point, I remember very well when Chris Bryant was coming up for the Cubs, and it was a whole ordeal with them because the entire Cub fan base wanted to see Chris Bryant. And the Cubs were like, no, why would we do that? Why would we give up a year of control of our best prospect just because we want to play him 2 weeks earlier than we should? And it's just a business decision because, again, this is a business. We want to have our best players for longer. Yep. And there's no rush here. There's really no rush. We have an entire season to work with here. April and May are very important, obviously, for the A's, and we've talked about this tough schedule. We do want to have our best guys out there, but we don't want it to cost our future and then the future of Las Vegas as well. So there's a lot of factors in this that go into baseball. And you're right, Henry Bolte is 22. He's a Palo Alto kid, which is pretty cool. He went to Palo Alto High School. He did cool off a little bit today in the A's 13-3 victory over the Diamondbacks. He went 0 for 3, so he is human after all. But he is definitely a name that I know a lot of A's fans are really curious about. They're super excited about, and 100%. I get it. He plays with his hair on fire. You just can't deny the kid. And he's hustling everywhere. He had a hustle double against the Angels. He had a homer, and then he had another gap double on Sunday. So he does look the part, and he's really growing as a player. So definitely someone to look forward to. And another guy to look forward to is Leo De Vries. I mean, he is as advertised. We hadn't talked about his game against the Dodgers the other day when the split squad games were going on. He hits 2 homers. He has a 2-run homer, and then he has a grand slam against the Dodgers. Just reminding y'all, he is 19 years old. He is just 19.
Just turned 19.
Insane.
Like closer to 19 than he is to 20. So
it's incredible what he's been doing so far in the spring, and all of this for Mason Miller and JP Sears. I mean, you just got to sit back and laugh. It's like one of the best trades the A's have ever made, and he's not even the bigs yet. We still have plenty of time before that happens, but Andrew, we talk about this young core so much, and the A's only being number 18 in MLB's farm system. Are we getting shorted? Like, is this an extremely underrated group of just those guys we just talked about who have not been cut yet?
I think it's top heavy. I like some of the lower guys, the 15 to 30 range, but a big reason is Kurtz accelerated through the minors, and if he was still there, Wilson was a recent graduate. So I think a few of these guys that are on the squad now, it would help their ranking. So I was actually impressed that they're still 18 with how much young talent they have, because I think Arnold and Jump are 2 future all-stars. I mean, I saw Jump live twice, and the guy has it. And then also, like we talked about with Bolte, these are legit major leaguers. So I think they are a little top heavy. So I wasn't super surprised. I think that's actually probably a pretty fair ranking of what's still left in the farm. But question for you, speaking of Leo.
Yeah.
So I've been thinking a lot, who has the best chance between Bolte, Leo, and Tommy out of spring to make the team. And again, like I said, I think one of them less than 25%, combined between the 3, that would be the odds that I'd have that one of them makes the team. But curious who you think out of those 3 has the best shot.
Let's break it down here really quick, because what are we looking at as position-wise? What do we need? Okay, so third base, it feels like it's Max Muncy's job, right? I think they're not going to give it to Tommy White. He's barely played in Double-A. And you look at Leo. Obviously, we have a shortstop. We just signed him to a long-term deal. But, Jeff McNeil's had a really good spring. He's going to play second for us. So where's the room for Leo right now? There really is none.
Yeah.
So the obvious answer to me is Henry Bolte, because you look at this outfit right now, and I didn't even mention that Zach Geloff is back too. Like, he's another second base option. So it's just really crowded up there in the middle of the infield right now for the A's. But outfield right now, Lawrence Butler still has not played this spring. I'm not sure when he's slated to come back either, but that's an interesting piece. I mean, we're getting closer and closer here to opening day, and we haven't seen him yet. Okay, so maybe right field could potentially be open for him. Okay, and then there's also Denzel Clark, who is playing for Team Canada. I think they're moving on. Did they win today? I didn't really actually see the final.
They were up 6-2, I think, in the 9th when I saw, so assuming they won.
So they're probably moving on. He's going to be out of spring for a little bit longer, but he's still getting very good reps, right? But he's not really hitting that much with Team Canada. But
shocker.
Yeah, right. So Henry Bolte is, I think, the clear standout of those 3 guys. But, man, if anything were to go wrong at third base, which is the next option, I think, for the A's, I don't think they would want to force Leo to go over to third right away. That's a pretty big step for a kid who's only 19, who has only really played shortstop his entire life. That's a spot for Tommy White to really step up, and he could potentially fill in for however long he would need, if any case for an injury or whatever the case was. But Henry Bolte, man, and if he makes the squad opening day, I don't hate it, but we talked about control, right? We talked about just contracts and years. I'd rather have Lawrence Butler out there, even if he only gets 2.5 weeks of spring reps in. I'd rather see him just play right field, because we know he can do it eventually, right? He just may need to get warmed up a little bit quicker than everybody else. So that's my obvious answer. What would you agree, or would you see anybody else?
No, I think Bolte, and then actually Leo 2, and I think Tommy 3. I think Tommy's still a little while away, or a little ways away, but I think that they're viewing it the same, because they want Geloff to take outfield reps, so they clearly feel confident about the infield right now. And even then, I think they'd probably go Leo over Tommy. They would just put McNeil at third and put Leo at second. So I think Bolte's probably got the best shot. It's weird. Everyone's kind of been mum on Butler, so curious. I don't think he's going to make it for opening day, but my guess is the Super 2 piece, especially being the A's. I mean, we see this with smaller market teams. Connor Griffin with the Pirates, where he's looked like a stud this spring training as well. But I bet they just put Cortez out there. They put Clark in center, and they put Soderstrom in left. But yeah, I think Bolte at least is forcing Katze's hand here.
100%. And I don't hate Cortez, as an opening day right field. I really don't hate. He's just a guy who's going to do his job, and he's just a little ball player, man. And you cannot hate that at all.
Emphasis on the little.
Good little swing there, yeah. Now, we talked a little bit last week about Nick Kurtz and his new role in this lineup for the A's. Looks like he will be leading off. It's been pushed very hard this spring. He's been every single, pretty much, I think almost except for one game, he's led off when he's been in there. So it looks like it's going to be the thing. We're going to try it, see how it goes. Katze pretty much confirmed it. Hey, he's going to walk a lot, right? That's going to be the thing with Nick Kurtz. And that's fine for his on base. It's fine for setting the table. But is that really the goal of your lineup, to have your best RBI guy starting the game off? Like, how many RBI chances is he going to get with the 7, 8, 9 setting the table for him? So
Muncy Clark combo, they're setting the table for Kurtz. So not too many. A lot of solo homers, I bet.
Yeah, not the most biggest amount of faith there in those guys to get on base for Nick Kurtz. And I want to know the thinking behind this, because it's purely analytically driven, right? And you want your best guys to get the most at-bats. I totally get it. But, like, at the same time, I'm an old school guy when it comes to the lineup for the most part. I don't mind your best hitter in the 2-hole. I don't mind that at all. But your best hitter leading off, your best on-base guy leading off, I'd rather have him in the 2 or 3.
Yeah, I thought the same, and I looked up Schwarber's stats right when we were talking about it the other day, and I was like, Schwarber probably hit a lot of solo homers. Phillies were obviously better than the A's, but I still don't think their 8-9 was anything special. Mm-hmm. And Schwarber, I forgot what it was, but like 140 RBI, something crazy. So it's fine. It's not the end of the world, but I did text you today the lineup. I just screenshot and I said, is Katze trolling? Because it was Wilson at 5 and it was Kurt Shea 1-2, and yeah, I don't know. I don't see it. I think they'll probably make adjustments. I'm old school too. I think Wilson should lead off 100%. I think Soderstrom in 2, Kurtz 3, get 2 guys up there for him. And then I go Rooker, Shea would be my 1 to 5. And obviously, righty lefty, you can mix it up. But yeah, not a fan. We talked about it last week, and I won't be a fan indefinitely. So
I just wonder, like, what is the strategy going to be for Nick Kurtz? Because typically, first pitch of the game, a lot of guys take it. There's not a ton of aggression there from a leadoff guy because you just want to see him out. You want to see what he does. But with get me over heaters to start a ball game off, is Nick Kurtz going to be just dead red? I'm ambushing a guy to start a game. Like, that'd be nice. If that's the idea behind it, is, hey, let's jump somebody early because they just want to get ahead of Nick Kurtz. They don't want to get him on base. They don't want to have to face Shea with somebody on base. I get that whole, because if things go well, right, like today, they scored 13 runs. Okay, obviously that's going to work, right? That's not going to be the case every single day. But I just want to know what the idea, the thought process of Nick Kurtz in the leadoff hole is, because he's going to probably see a lot of pitches, but I don't necessarily need him seeing a lot of pitches. I need him hunting heaters and putting him over the yard. I mean, I don't know. I like this whole like Derek Barton, Scott Hatteberg philosophy of just like, just walk. It's fine. Yeah. I want you to drive the ball. I want you to put it over the fence, and I want you to put it in the gap. That's all I want you to do, which is a lot.
If you're Clark, I think that's not a bad approach, the Barton Hatteberg. But yeah. And again, no hate on Clark. Like I said last week, I think I wanted to be the center field of the future. But I was going to text you later after it was 13 runs and say Katze knows what he's doing. My bad. It's spring training. But. Yeah. Either way, I don't know. I just don't want him to change his approach to hitting. I want him to go up there and just swing first pitch fastball. And he probably won't see a lot of pitches. And if he does, and he tries to be the more traditional type of leadoff hitter, he's going to get a lot of full counts, not pure hitter counts, where it's choking up maybe a little bit. Big strikeout guy, so I don't think he chokes up too much. But he could have a George Springer type of role. He doesn't walk as much as Schwarber. And Springer leads, every year from the leadoff spot, the league in homers, like leadoff homers. So, don't love it. But again, I guess over the course of the year, he'll get a few more at bats.
Yeah, we'll see, dude. I'm very curious to see if this is going to roll out through June and July. Like, if it's successful, hey, I'll eat my words. I'm more than okay doing that. I'm a big, whatever I say about the A's, typically the opposite happens. So you heard me praising Jeff McNeil last week, and he's had a really good week, okay? Typically, that doesn't always happen. Normally, it's when I'm crapping on a guy, and then he has a massive day, and it's just like, I text my buddy Kobe this all the time, and shout out to Kobe. I say, I'm going to text about him, and then he's going to have a huge day. And he goes, it's literally your MO. Like, sometimes I use it as a power. Like, I need to talk down on this guy, so maybe he can wake up a little bit. So I'm really hoping the Kurtz thing works out. It's like I'm rooting for it to work, but I question it right now. I'm just very confused by the whole ideology behind it.
And that's something people should know about us too, is we are pretty pessimistic. I wouldn't say that we're homers at all. I think it's more of bases loaded, no outs, they're down by one. It's like pop out, double play to end the game. Like that's more of our mentality. So we shoot it straight, and I love to just the reverse, jinx there. So that's us. So Kurtz will probably hit 60 homers in leadoff spot, MVP, and Cade can
145. Yeah, exactly. Yeah, and then Cade can win Manager of the Year. Hey, brother, I'll take
not a bad bet.
Not at all. But typically it is the A's threaten and do not score. So that's been our lives. I've threatened to get that tattooed on my back or on my face, dude. I mean, geez. To move on to the World Baseball Classic, which is currently going on right now, the whole Team USA blunder with Mark DeRosa is just unbelievable. What an idiot! I just cannot believe he full on thought they already moved on. I don't really want to go into too much detail about that because it's been talked about a lot today on just the national media. It's a really bad look for Team USA, man. Like maybe we should get somebody who's actually managed in the major leagues to do this next time. But I don't know. The one thing I did really wanted to talk about was Cal Raleigh and Randy Arozarena. That whole back and forth with those two guys. It felt like Randy was a lot more passionate about it, and Cal was just kind of like, yeah, no, we're boys. It's fine. It's just a competitive thing. But as an A's fan,
I loved it.
Go ahead, boys. Go ahead and fight. No, Randy. He didn't want to shake your hand. Can you believe that, Randy? Cal. I'm fine. Totally fine.
Some of those quotes were wild. He's like, I think he said almost verbatim that the only good thing about Cal was his parents because he talked to him at the game. He's like, everything else sucks, basically. So it was pretty funny, and I couldn't tell if they were trolling, but it does seem like they're serious, and I'm sure they'll probably work it out. But that does seem like there was some preconceived issues with them beforehand because that to set it off seems a little odd. And I don't know. I side with our Americans and Cal, but at the same time, I get it. It's not too hard to just dab them up a little bit. But same thing happened with Japan, and I forgot who they were playing. I think it was Australia, right? Yes. And he tried to shake his hand, and no one really said anything. Yeah. I actually
Team Australia is not a handshaking team. Yeah.
Oh, no. And I said I love that. I texted you that before this whole thing. And I'm like, I love it. It's competitors and you want to win. And, I just think it's weird. I'm seeing a lot of people cheer against Team USA and they're on Randy's side. It's like, man, we got to back our boys and they need us. I got the game on right here. It's 2-0 Italy. So by the time this gets uploaded, we'll know one way or another. But if it holds now, squeeze right now that 3-0. So go Italy. Yeah. So we need redemption.
Baiano.
The memes were pretty funny today of just, bunting back and forth. They did the Japan bunting home run derby thing where it was like, this is going to be the game today. It's going to be 1-0. The Chargers, Raiders the other day. So if they get one more run, Italy, U.S. automatically advances because either Italy wins or Mexico scores 5. So a lot of people, by the way, A's-wise, were calling, why did Kurtz not make it over Goldschmidt, which is another one that was odd. So I don't know. I like DeRosa as an analyst, but I agree. I think we needed Bochy would have been my pick, man.
Absolutely.
That would have been fantastic.
Bob Melvin's not managing right now. He would have been a nice choice. It's just someone who's done it before, dude. Not this guy who's on MLB Network who used to play.
Who's good on MLB Network. So I'm sad because I like him actually on TV. But
same, and that's what was such a bummer about this whole thing. And like when he said we punched our ticket, it's just like, do you understand how this works? Are you for real?
Rightful hate, to be honest. But if they win and they advance, and it's no worries. It's over, so it's fine. But man, I've been invested and excited. Baseball, I think, is on the rise in general. There was almost 3 million people that watched this last game, which is massive. I mean, that's getting close to NBA Finals territory for a quote unquote exhibition game. So
right, and that's great, dude. And like the Tariq Skubal stuff has been really interesting, and he basically admits that I thought it was going to be like an all-star game kind of vibe. I'm like, Tariq, have you never watched the World Baseball Classic? It's been on for a while now. Like, how do you not understand what's going on? And now he wants to go back to camp to the team who made him go through arbitration.
His every quote he has is worse than the next one. Today he was like crying that people are overly mean to him or something like that. It's like, buddy, you gotta relax, man. Like, this is, I don't know. That's why you see someone like Skeens and you're like, dude, I'm gonna buy a Skeens jersey because this is awesome. People that are excited for their, represent their country, whether it's Mexico, Italy, the United States. It's like, it's awesome. These guys are super excited, and Scooble just should have come. So
right. I mean, like, why would you want, like, you're going to get your 65 pitches in pool play anyway. You might as well get it in a more fun exhibition environment than a spring training game in Florida, dude. It's like, I just don't understand the thinking there at all. But, it's been really cool to see some of the other A's guys get in and involved with, there's no Team USA players, but Hernandez, his walk-off homer, electric. Awesome. I want to see that energy from him all the time, dude. Like, that, if it's just so funny how, like, the Dominican, Puerto Rico players, like, how much pride they have playing for their country. It's so cool to see. And then when we get to the major leagues, it's like Manny Machado makes an insane play, and he's just like, yep. But like in a World Baseball Classic, it's like shirts off, we're partying, dude. I'm like, why don't we do this all the time? This is electric.
O'Neal Cruz's homer, where it was like 15 seconds that he was just standing in the. I love it. I know, and like we said, I think we're more baseball purists and traditionalists, but I love it, man. Especially like World Series, this environment. This is what it's about. It's representing your country, and no matter where you're from, I think it's awesome to just be proud of where you're from. So I absolutely love it.
Yeah, couldn't agree more. And Luis Severino had a really good start against the Netherlands. 4 innings, 3 hits, 1 run, 5 Ks, 11 whiffs. He was up to 99 miles an hour on that fastball, y'all.
Pump it back a little bit, buddy.
Yeah, we got a whole season ahead of us, Luis, but that's good to see because at times last season he did kind of dip in his velocity. So good to see him, off to a much better start, I think, than last year with the A's. And I think he's, on a more level head, and he's mentally a lot more prepared to pitch in a minor league ballpark. So good start from him. I love to see that from him, and pitching for his country is great. Zhuang and Lin pitched well for Chinese Taipei as well. So a lot of good notes out of the A's guys in the WBC, and a lot of good notes when those boys went to Vegas as well. The game on Saturday against the Angels was not great. You were at that one, unfortunately, but kind of give the people your thoughts. No one's ever been to this stadium. If you have, okay, great. But I've never been to the new Vegas ballpark in AAA. Let me know. Let the listeners know. What's it like there?
Yeah, so I've never been to Summerlin, where the stadium is. So, I'm a big Vegas guy. I go a lot for work, pleasure. So just in general. So my wife loves it too. So we kind of tag team it there. But it was beautiful, man. The place itself, it kind of felt like Palm Springs, Summerlin in general. Everything was like a resort. Everything was brand new. The stadium was super nice. There was, festivities going on before the game. It was like speed pitch and handing out A's stuff. Like, it was packed. Tickets were extremely expensive. We kind of lucked out into getting some cheap ones kind of right behind the dugout at Will, or I forgot what they're called now, but basically at the tickets, like when you actually get there.
Will call?
Well, no, I think that's will calls when someone leaves you a ticket, right?
Yeah. Okay.
Either
so
way,
just went to a box office.
100%. So, but online, those tickets are going for $130 right before the game, and we got them for $50 with no fees. So standing room only was like $75. So people were excited. The stadium, like I said, it was very nice. They situated it really well, where almost the entire game, the whole seats had shade. There was a pool in the outfield, which I thought was actually pretty cool, kind of like the Diamondbacks vibe. But I can't tell you how many times throughout that game I sat there and I'm like, why are they not playing here? Like, if you told me they were staying in Oakland for, the next 2 years or 3 years, they renewed their lease, I would have been like, okay, I guess it makes sense. Salt Lake is another one. Obviously, I'm a homer from being in Utah, but that one made more sense. They could have played at the B Stadium. It's larger than the Sacramento. Utah, they sell out the Jazz games when they're bad. They sell out the Mammoth, the hockey, football. BYU, Utah sells out. So they could have went there and then, kind of get that crowd, get some fans in Utah that are an hour flight and a 5-hour drive from Vegas. And then the one that made the most sense was Vegas, where they easily could have shared a stadium. They made it work with not even their organization. They would sell out. They'd get 10K. They get people excited and invested, involved. They get merchandise sales. So it's just shocking to me that they're in Sacramento. And a lot of people are saying a lockout's coming, and this probably will be the last year in Sacramento anyways. But it made absolutely zero sense. And going there for the first time, I was disappointed that they're not there.
Well, and Sports Illustrated just reported the other day, too, that the home opener in Sacramento has still not sold out.
Yeah.
And that is a concern for the area of Sacramento. Like, you guys are pushing to want to have an expansion team potentially, and you have a Major League Baseball team in your city right now. And I understand it's more of a Giants town for sure, but the stadium's not big. Fill it up. It's still a Major League Baseball game, and it's in a minor league ballpark. That's what, and like the people, I don't want to get too involved in this, okay? I want to try to keep it positive and light on this thing, but like the people who are obsessed with the whole John Fisher thing, yeah, I get it. Like, it's hard when you love a team from Oakland and they're moving. I totally understand that whole side of it, but like, it's still Major League Baseball in the Sacramento area. Like, go support if you can. Like, that's your ticket to, the MLB looks like they're killing it with the A's. Maybe this fan base like would actually be valuable choice for an expansion, because right now they're like 5th or 6th on my list for an expansion city. Honestly, there's a lot of other better options. So I'm with you, man. I think playing in Las Vegas during this transition, probably the better call. It really doesn't make any sense why they're in West Sacramento at all. Personally, I love it. I love that area. I'm potentially going to be moving to that area in September. But from a non-selfish side of it, it's like, why are you guys playing? This is the Giants AAA ballpark. Like, why are you playing here? It doesn't make any sense. And like all the changes they had to make to that place, it's like Vegas would have done it immediately. Yeah. It would have been so much easier. So that's up to Fisher, and one of his weirder choices that he's made in his tenure as an owner.
Well, and keep in mind too, I mean, A's for our childhood, it was the River Cats, right? So a lot of them, obviously they didn't play there, but a lot of, people became A's fans because that was pretty close to the Bay. So they chose A's or Giants, but a lot of them chose the A's just because they had an opportunity to go to their AAA stadium. So kind of weird that people don't show out. And I saw that there was discounted seats on Twitter yesterday for the home opener. So never a good sign. Yeah, but I will be going back to the series in Vegas in June, which will be exciting. So
that's right. That's gonna be really cool.
Yeah,
it's gonna be really cool. And I don't know really the answer for this like whole lockout thing, and if they really are going to finish this season. They're going to play out the season in Sacramento, but if they really have a thought about changing a venue, but for the 2028 opening day goal of playing in the new Las Vegas stadium, is if they really want to change venues in 2027. I know that they're locked into Sacramento for 2027 if that season does indeed happen. I would not be shocked at all if Fisher just says, you know what, like, let's cut this deal. I'll pay the buyout and we'll just go and play in our AAA ballpark for 1 year, and really just it's like a stepping stone to your next. Like, you're going to be down the highway a little bit. It just makes so much sense just to play there for 2027. But we'll see what they want to do. Jacob Lopez did make his debut for his spring training. Against the Dodgers. He had 2 innings, 3 hits, 3 earned runs, a walk, and a K. Just 39 pitches, and he threw 25 strikes. First start of the spring. I'm not going to put too much into that. And then Aaron Savale pitched in Vegas. He gave up some loud contact, just 3 straight hitters, and then he was rightfully pulled after that. So those 2 are really important for this upcoming rotation, and I want to kind of close on these guys and some college baseball stuff. But Jacob last year, right, was definitely out of nowhere. We didn't expect much from him, and he was incredible last season. He really has to avoid that blow-up start that he had, probably 4 of them last year, maybe even 5. The outings of 7 earned runs, like, those have to stop. Those got to go right now. His ERA in 25 as a starter in 84 innings pitched was 3.96. Oddly enough, he was better in Sacramento with a 2.64 ERA in 9 games, and then he had a 5.4 on the road in 12 games. I saw him pitch in Houston last season because I live out here in Texas. I try to get to both of those series if I can. He was great in that start. Like, the strikeout stuff has always been there for him. His K/9 has just always been high. What do you think your expectations are for Jacob Lopez going into this season?
Yeah, obviously we know prospects when they come up and we hear certain people, certain buzz and whatnot, but I didn't hear much about Lopez when he got called up. And I remember Fantasy Baseball picked him up for a start just because I needed, a guy. And I think that was the Rays game where he had 9 Ks in 4 innings or something. So I went back and I remember looking at his numbers, and it was even the minor leagues, it was like 10 Ks per nine, big strikeout guy, which he's not overpowering, but obviously he has good enough stuff that he can get people out via strikeout. And, I think that that's important, but he's, I don't know, man. I hope for the best because, they got to make two with him. They can't rely on Medina and JT and those kind of guys, but
Right.
he almost seems better suited to follow an opener. Have like Ferguson come in or Kelly or someone, and then Lopez gives you 3 or 4 innings after that. Because if you go back to each one of his starts, most of the time he would go 3 innings, like perfect, basically. And then he'd have that one blow up inning where it'd be 2 walks in a row, a blue pit, and then grand slam. And all of a sudden it's like this great outing where he had 7 Ks in 4 innings. He gave 4 runs. So I think he might be better suited for that 3 inning type of role, but they're going to need him to be a starter, and especially until Arnold and Jump are ready. But, if they get to the point where it's Severino, Springs, Jump, Arnold, they can kind of make do with that 5th spot. If Civale doesn't look very good, Lopez giving him, the opener type of vibe. So interesting to see what they do there. But, first spring training starts, so not super worried yet.
Right. And it feels like you're riding the wave a little bit with Jacob Lopez, because if you really expect him to be that same kind of guy he was last season, I mean, that's going to be a huge boost to this rotation. But honestly, I think the book's out on him now and what he does. I think he's going to be a lot more scoutable. The guys are going to be more prepared for him this season. And I think he likes to throw that breaking ball a lot early in counts, and especially when he's ahead. So it's going to be something to look forward to in this season, just to see how he progresses. If he adjusts to other teams' adjustments, that is the key to the game. Once you make that first one, you're usually pretty golden as a major leaguer, honestly. And once you can adjust to their adjustment, then you can go. But that's going to be his entire MO for this first couple of months here for the A's. And like you just mentioned too, Aaron Civale too, he's been a journeyman, man. He's been on 6 teams since 2023, hoping for him to settle in and finally be a starter again. The homers have been an issue for him the last 2 seasons. 16 homers given up in 25 and 29 given up in 24. That's just way too many. He was moved to the bullpen and pitched well in 13 innings as a starter in 25. In 13 innings out of the bullpen, he pitched well. But as a starter in 25, he had a 5.26 ERA, and he pitched 89 innings. He had a 1.37 whip with a 1.82 whip while behind in the count. So obviously, he's not going to blow anybody away. So once he does get behind, it's going to be an issue. But a very interesting tidbit about his stats from 2025, his batting average against while ahead in the count last season was 281. But while he was behind, it was 213. So he's got like some flipped splits there a little bit. And he really, really wore down in August. Just in the dog days, he posted a 7.46 ERA in the month of August, and that's when he was moved to be a reliever. So he's 30 years old. He's got a huge year in front of him, because I know he doesn't want to keep bouncing around from team to team. This is a very important first few months for him as an A, just to kind of settle in. I'm a starter. I need to just go 5 innings, 2 to 3 runs, limit damage, keep the ball on the ground, and that's all he has to do. But I feel like he gets into some trouble sometimes of just leaving pitches up behind in counts, and then that's when you see the issues of back-to-back hitters hitting the ball over 105 miles an hour off him. That's going to be an issue going forward, and we can't live with that, right? I know he's going to be the 5th starter. There's going to be plenty of guys who are going to get 5th starting opportunities for the A's. But you, like I mentioned last week, you really need to limit the guys who you're going to be your 5th starter. And Aaron needs to be that big step-up veteran piece. What did you see from him in his Vegas start?
Yeah, so I had to catch that one on TV because just there Saturday, but
Right.
Same kind of vibe. Yeah, I've watched a pitch enough where I kind of know those guys. It's the Homer Bailey types where, once in a while, the Edwin Jackson, they can shove. And most of the time, they're just going to be, 5 innings, 4 runs type where, they can kind of keep you in a game. But, those stats were interesting. I think maybe having a pitch clock violation to start the at-bat might be better for him. Just go 1-0 and then just pitch from behind. So keep him guessing. But yeah, I think that's the problem with the team now is they just got too many guys that are 4th or 5th type of starters, right? I like Springs, but on a good playoff team, he's a 4, he's a 5.
Yes.
Morales probably ceiling wise is a 4 or 5. Civale, Severino's the only one that's probably a 2 or 3 on a good team if he's pitching at his best. But they really need him to, because like I said, I'm just not overly confident with some of the other arms they have available until Arnold and Jump are up.
Couldn't agree more. And it's just a matter of just waiting. We got to be patient with these young prospects that are coming up. in the farm system, and they're going to give you good innings eventually. They're going to be here eventually, but we just have to be patient, and we're just going to have to stick it out with some of these guys who are aging a little bit, like Savali and Springs, who has not looked great in spring so far. But I give some veterans a little bit of leeway in spring. Like, they've been around the block a few times. Like, they know what's up. Like, yeah, I'm not trying to be out here shoving against guys. I'm 33 years old in spring training. Like, this doesn't matter. I know I'm on the team kind of thing. I feel like that's what Jeffrey Springs is probably going through right now. It's just, let me get my work in, make sure my arm's good. I don't care if I get about 5 runs today. I'll figure it out as I go. And again, 33 years old. He's been around the block. So it's just that early part of the schedule, my friend, is hard. It is difficult. And I don't want a repeat of the A's, dropping 19 of 20. Okay. We can't have that. They have to just come out and battle. And these guys are going to be a huge part of that. Your starting pitching just has to be on top of it. And we'll see. It's going to be a really hard uphill battle to start this year. And then we'll kind of coast it out and see how they do through the summer. But man, that Scott Emerson, this pitching staff, it's been an issue these last couple of years. So I really want to see something stepping in the right direction, especially with these veteran guys that they're bringing in. I want to see what the old A's used to do. Remember Brad Mills, the dollar McChicken boy? He would come, like, the A's would get anybody. They'd pick a guy from Walmart and be like, "You want to pitch 5 innings tonight?" And he'd be like, "Sure." That's what it felt like. They could do any of that. But obviously that was the benefit of pitching in Oakland. In Sacramento, it's a lot different. You're going to have to deal with the ball leaving the yard. And they just have to find guys who can get a lot of whiffs, keep the ball down. And unfortunately, Joey Estes was another cut today as well. He doesn't get any swing and misses. Like, he's not a guy I want around in Sacramento. Yeah, darn it.
I gotta throw my Estes jersey in the garbage, man.
He's not a guy I want around, giving up dongs in Sacramento. But it's one of those things that we're going to have to deal with this season. But I wanted to close. Go ahead. You were going to say something.
Oh, I was going to say, just last thing was, Force kind of has to reinvent how they do business, because forever pitchers want to go to Oakland, rebound their career. Now hitters want to come there, right? Where the ball's going to fly in Sacramento and Vegas. But from a pitching standpoint, they're going to have to overpay for some of these guys. So obviously overpaid for Semerino, but I think moving forward, Vegas will be a destination for a lot of these people, but they're still going to have to overpay to just, get some guys.
Yeah, totally agree. But to close out All on Green, we appreciate you guys for listening. This is the House Always Wins Media Network. Thank you for tuning in. We appreciate you guys a lot. We're going to be here Wednesday nights through spring, and then we'll be doing Sundays and Wednesdays in the regular season. Can't wait for this opening day, and can't wait for a lot of things in college baseball that are going on right now. College World Series is a great time to get involved with college baseball, obviously, but now's also a really good time. March is when important games are happening in college baseball, and actually Baseball America came out with their 2026 first-round picks as a mock draft for the top 10. They have a whole list. You can go find it on their website. But we'll focus on the top 10 here. Rock Chalowski is going number 1 to the White Sox. I mean, that guy's a stud. He had another homer yesterday. He's different. He's one of those guys. There's going to be a lot of shortstops on this list. Are they all going to play shortstop in the major leagues? Probably not. He's out of UCLA. They're the number 1 team in the country. Grady Emerson is a high school shortstop looking like he's going to the Rays, according to this mock draft. Is Justin LeBron out of Alabama. There's Jacob Lombard, high school shortstop out of Florida. Jackson Flora from our hometown, Pleasanton, California, out of UC Santa Barbara. He's from Foothill High School. He's going to the Pirates, according to this mock draft. He's electric. He throws the ball just through people. It is insane. He's grown so much as a starter. Drew Burris out of Georgia Tech, an outfielder. Ace Reese, third baseman out of Mississippi State. Chris Akopian in that 8 role to the A's. Remember, the A's are picking 8th this summer. Chris Akopian is a shortstop out of Texas A&M. Just a small, very early profile on him. He was a Maryland transfer, originally a third baseman. According to the baseball archives on YouTube, he has limited range, average arm, average runner, could probably end up in the outfield. So
8th pick of the 5th round?
Yeah, athletically, is that what you want to do for your top 10 pick? It sounds like he's not very athletic. But I watched some of his tape. He's a great hitter. I mean, this dude can hit the ball out of the yard. He's got a really long load, but he's got great leverage with his swing. He may not be there at 8, honestly, because he's having a pretty good start to his year at A&M. I think he could hit for a little bit more average as of right now. But we will see come summer. A lot of things can change. Jamie Arnold fell in our lap last summer. That was just incredible. So anything can happen in this draft. But these are just some guys and some names to keep an eye out for. I only see 1 pitcher in this top 10, so that's going to be really interesting as well. And it rounds out with A.J. Garcia out of Virginia and Eric Becker, who is also out of Virginia. So that's the top 10 college draft prospects according to Baseball America as of right now. The MO in the draft is always just draft best player available. But if Hakopian is there, he's not really a shortstop, it sounds like. But if Hakopian is there, what do? Do you want another infielder? Do you want another guy who, we'll put him in left field? Soderstrom, go for it.
Lucked out Soderstrom for sure. Just
yes.
The versatility there. But I texted you that earlier today when you sent me this draft. I said I could put large amounts of money that the A's will not take an infielder. There's just zero reason to. Shea obviously is locked up. Kurtz, locked up as in, the next few years at least. Kurtz is locked up. Leo and Wilson. So they have one spot, and they have Tommy White. They have Colome. They have multiple different options. I just don't think they want to play another guy out of position, because if they're playing everyone true to form and true to their actual positions, a lot of dudes are not playing where they're comfortable playing. So don't see it. Even if there's not a lot of pitchers, I just take another outfielder. Shea's getting older, so doesn't seem like there's many great catching prospects. But yeah, I don't see this happening, at least.
Yeah, this list is going to change so much. The only thing that's going to be staying consistent is Rock Chalowski at number 1. I think anything else is very fluid. So we'll see, man. Again, so many things can happen in the draft. It's very it's not like the NBA. It's not like the NFL. It's very much crapshoot. You don't really know what teams are thinking in their room, because it's about who they like. It's not about who Baseball America likes. It's not about who me and Stud like, So I'm really curious to see what Forrest and the boys want to do come summer, and who they want to go with as their 8th overall pick, because this is another guy who could potentially be contributing when you're in Vegas in 2029, potentially. So very important pick. And I liked recently how the A's have focused more on college guys. I think that's a really smart asset to do, especially how much the college game is growing currently. I think it's just the right thing to do. So yeah, boys and girls, thank you so much for listening. Andrew, any last words for our listeners?
No, I think I said no and then proceeded to talk. So I guess
no,
yes.
But I think
semicolon. We'll have the gambling pick starting regular season. Robbie and I are working on a promo code, but I was thinking that we would do some kind of, hey, if you use our promo code, we'll put you in raffle for some Sacramento tickets, something like that. So we'll get something going. But for now, nothing else on my end. We said we're going to do 30, 40-minute type of pods, but we could talk 15 hours in a row about the A's. So
you're gonna have to
appreciate everyone listening.
Sorry about that. But I'll leave you guys with this. I want you to comment and let us know below on YouTube. If you hit a home run to mercy rule a team, is that considered a walk-off? You say yes?
100%.
I don't think
celebrating like Game 7 of the World Series.
Celebrating like you're on the Dominican Republic. Let's go! All right, guys. Thank you so much for listening. This was All on Green. As always, go A's. God bless and have a great week.
Go A's.